Hi everybody, it's Patty Ann here. Hang on just a second. Do you remember last week or a few days ago when I made this card and it happened to come from the free cards, free images for this week? Looks like that. It's pretty cute. Well, what I want to show you today is how you can make an envelope to fit this card, or how you can make this card fit these envelopes that you can get at Staples. I prefer to use these envelopes for my cards that I send because it's a lot cheaper, and I don't like to use my really good paper to make envelopes. So these are already made. You get 100 of them at Staples. And they're called invitation cards. They are 4 3/8 by 5 3/4. Okay, so let's go over to Cricut Design Space and I'll show you how to get started in A, either resizing this card and envelope to a nice size, or B, resizing this card to fit in one of those envelopes. So join me over at Cricut Design Space. Okay. Here we are. I want to show you how to find this free file. Now this would work with any envelope set that you'll find in Cricut Access. And if you're not sure of how Cricut Access works, I have a link down below that shows you. Anyway, if you come up here to Images and you want to find the free files this week, go to Images, and depending on when it is, different things will show up here. But you'll come over here to where it says Cartridge Categories and click on Categories, and then you'll come over to the left and it says Free This Week. So you want to click on this big box here, Free This Week. So this is what is free this week, and I'm not exactly sure if it's free till Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure. So you better get it quick if you want to. Otherwise, like I said, this can work on any kind of an envelope and card that you can get in Cricut Design Space. So here's the card. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to come over here to insert the image. Okay, notice there's a lot of stuff that comes in here. Let's see, maybe I need to, there we go. So the envelope and the card come in, and when they come into Design Space, they're grouped together. See, if I just grab one, it all comes together. So the first thing that I do want to do is I want to come up here to ungroup. Now, right now, this card would fit in this envelope perfectly. But the problem is, this card is rather small. And the way I can show you that is, if I highlight this card and come down here into the layers panel to see which thing is highlighted, and here it is, I'm going to change this to a tan color, and then you can see where the score line is. You know, our Cricut Explorer errors score if we put in the scoring tool, and that's just where we do the folding. So if this thing was folded in half, oopsie, I'd better group that one back together. Draw a circle or a square around it, come up here to the right and group it. And now if I come up here, well actually I can just look up here and I can tell that this thing is 4 inches wide. Okay, it's 4 inches wide. And I can tell that by looking at the scale up here too. Now if I look down here, it's a little over 6 inches tall, and you can see that here. The problem is it's going to be folded in half, so it's going to end up as a card that's 4 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And if you look on a measuring tape or on a cutting mat or something, that's a pretty small card. So that would fit okay in this envelope. If, on the other hand, I wanted to make this be a larger card and envelope, what I could do is I could group these back together, and I could just drag them and resize them together. Now, how would I know what size I want to drag them to? That's where the shape tool would come in. I can come over to the shape tool, click on it, and get a square. And now for the cards that I make that fit in those envelopes from Staples, I make the card, half of the card, I make half of it 5 by 5, that's the width. So I need to check this or unlock it, because I'm going to make it 5.5 wide by, and you see that's the width of this card just about, it's just a little different, 5.5 by 4.25. And I'll put those dimensions down in the notes. Oops, 4.25. Okay. So this is what half of my card is what I would like it to be. So now what I can do is I can just leave this here if I want to, and come down to the grouping of these and resize it until it ends up being the size I want it to be. So there it is. That's it. That would be perfect. So then I could just get rid of this, and this would be the size it fits into my envelope. But let's just say all you have or all you're making is your own card. And let's ungroup this, and let's hide this envelope by clicking on the eyeball. And now let's just willy-nilly change this size. Now say this envelope comes in from Cricut Design Space like this, and I have no idea how big it is. I mean, I've made some that are teeny weeny because I didn't resize them. So I want this one to fit in one of those envelopes. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the shape tool, get a shape, and I'm going to change it by unlocking this, and this is just going to be half of the card. I'm going to make it 5.5 wide, hit enter, and then I'm going to make it 4.25 tall. And that is what half of my card should be like. Now, if I'd like to, what I can do is I can right click on this one and bring it, send it to the front, because it might be a little bit easier for me to see this way. So what I'm going to start doing is dragging this down until the score line just about matches that perfectly. Now, if I want to, I could unlock this, and I actually, what I actually could do, no, I think I just unlock that and go like this. And now I might send this to the back, right click, send to the back, and put this one over top so I can see. And I think that would fit pretty well. It's okay if it's a little teeny bit tinier, because I'd rather be a little tinier and fit into the envelope than not. So now, oh, you know what I just did? Did you see that, y'all? What I did was I resized the box. I can't resize the box at all. I have to leave it that size because that is the size of the envelope, right? So when I bring this, okay, so what I can do now is I can bring this to the front, send to the front, and I can bring this over here and see how it fits. If it seems like it's a little bit bigger, that's the envelope. That's okay, because that means the card would fit in. If, however, on the other hand, the card was like this, and this is what the size of the envelope will be, I need to make the card a little bit smaller. I can resize the card, but I can't resize those store-bought envelopes. So I'm going to leave that as it is. So that's about it. Let me pull in one more just to show you one of the ones that's not free, in case you're watching this when it isn't free. So let's go to images, and I'm going to look up card with envelope maybe. see if something comes up. Nah. Oh, I don't want to be in the free this week. Images. And now I want to go to card with envelope. Okay. So here we go. We have got some cards that have envelopes in here. I know we do. Isn't he cute? All right, here's one here. Let me just open this one. And before we mess with this, let's get rid of, or let me just, yeah, let's get rid of it. Get rid of that one. Let's bring over this guy right here. Now, if I measure this thing right here, the card part, as a matter of fact, let me ungroup it. And then I can just click on the card. And the card, if you look up here, measures the width is 4.2 something, and the height is 3 inches. So again, look on your cutting mat. That's going to be a little teeny weeny tiny card. It's going to be 2 inches by the time you fold it. It's going to be 2 inches wide by 3 inches tall. I don't want to make anything that small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it the size I usually like my cards. And if I do the half thing here, I can take a shape tool, get the square, and I can make it again, unlock it, 5.5, enter. This one's going to be a little bit different because it's a different shape, but 4.25, enter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my shift key and rotate this, and then I'm going to bring this behind it and start stretching it until now this is just to do the card to make it fit in my envelope. I'm going to send this to the back, the black one, and it's unlocked, I believe. So I can, the envelope's going to be the size it is. Remember, I keep trying to change the size of the envelope. So I can change the card size if I want to. Let's see what happens when I stretch it a little bit. Okay, I still think it looks nice. And it's going to fit in there. So then that's the size. I could make that card and it would fit perfectly in my envelope. Let me bring that in again. I'm going to go to Images, Card with Envelope, go way down here. Where was it? Okay, was that it? Yeah. Now let's just imagine that I do want to cut out the card as well, or the envelope, I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to come over here to the Shapes tool, because I don't want to make a teeny weeny little card like that. I'm going to change this to 5.5, unlock it, 5.5 by 4.25. And hit enter. Now, what I can do is I can either make this card fit like I did before, or if I want to, I can put this on top of the envelope and stretch the envelope so that this box will fit in it without hitting the score lines. Okay, that's pretty close. I'd probably want to unlock this maybe a little bit and make this a little bit like that, and maybe a little like that. And okay, that looks like that would fit pretty good. So I could make this one then. And let me get rid of this box. So what this would do then is make the envelope the right size for this card that would be larger than what it was before. And let's just see, just out of curiosity, what size it would be now. If I ungroup this, I can see now that the card is 7.5 inches wide, but remember that's going to be cut or folded in half. So what will that be? 3.25 inches wide, okay, by 5, almost 6 inches tall. Now that's going to be a big card now. So it just depends on how big you want to make your card. You could make it a different size if you'd like. So let me make both of these cards. Just let me make sure that this is going to fit on a mat. Yes, it will. You see 11.0. It's going to take a whole sheet of paper for this. A whole sheet of big paper, not 8.5 by 11, but the large 12 by 12 paper. And this will take a sheet of paper also. So I'll make both of these and I'll come back and show you what we get. Okay, here's how the card turns out. I gotta say I'm not exactly thrilled with it. It's a free one, I think, from Cricut Design Space. If I was really going to use this for somebody, I probably would color this or something, use colored pencils or something, or it'd be a cute one for a kid to give to someone, but it's just kind of boring, just black and white like that, I think. So anyway, I'm going to take this off here now, and we're going to see if we measured it correctly, is it going to fit into the envelopes that we have already. So let's fold it on the score line perfectly. And don't put it back on the mat. And let me get out one of these envelopes. It's making me a little nervous here in live-ish TV. Okay, so far so good. Yay, perfect. So there it is. So I could address it. Got a nice little card that I could fancy up with some coloring or some markers or glitter. I love glitter, and then put my own sentiment inside. And speaking of sentiments, I mentioned to you the other day about what I like to do. I make a whole page full of sentiments, and whether they're print and cuts or just ones that I draw right, you know, with the pen. So some of these are too big to fit in here, but maybe if I had one that says celebrate or just friends or thank you or thinking of you, that could almost fit. You are my sunshine. And so what I would do in general is, and I'll show you on one of these maybe. Here's some other cards that I've made. Okay, so for example, this one. This is one of the ones that I used. And I just put another piece of cardstock behind it because it makes it look really rich. And this was done with the Cuttlebug, and I'm sort of sad to hear that that thing's going by the wayside because I love how that stuff feels when it's all embossed. I did it on this one too, thinking of you. This is just regular card or paper. This is cardstock that I embossed on the Cuttlebug. Here are some texts that I printed. I think I printed and cut. Actually, I think I just printed these because there'd be no reason for me to cut them. I just cut them whatever size I needed them for the project. Were there any more? Yeah, here's another one that I did. And so I've just been having fun making some of these cards. There's another one. Here's another one. So again, I just did this text on a piece of cardstock and adhered it. And there, I actually had it right inside too with a pen inside this. So my point of this class or this lesson was to show you how to resize a card so that it will fit into an envelope, and so how to make cards the size that you want them to be so you don't end up with cards. See if I can find one real quick over here. I have some teeny little ones that I made. Let's see here. Okay, so here you can see the little size of the tiny little card I made the same size that it came in at in Cricut Design Space. So it's about 3 inches by 4 inches. Okay, and this is the size I really like it to be. And that would be goofy if I were to put that into that envelope. So that's the point of this. Just to show you a few more cards that I have made. I thought this one was really cute. This is something I believe is free in Cricut Design Space. This one that says congrats, and again I used the cuddle bug for the back here, and I cut this out. I like this one because it's got like polka dots. Can you see those from the cuddle bug? Y'all, if you can get your hands on a cuddle bug and you like making cards, I'd get you one. I'd get one because they're a lot of fun. This one was just one I actually did some watercoloring on. Just having fun. And then this one was another one that I cut out the words and then put it onto mounted it onto another piece of cardstock. But anyway, my point was to show you just how you can resize a card so that it's a nice size, whether you want to use the envelope that you make using your own paper, or if you want to use one of the envelopes that you can get at Staples. So thanks for joining me, you guys. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share this across social media. I really, really appreciate it. And I really love your comments and questions. If you have any, please let me know. Join us on our Facebook group. It's Cricut Design Space with Patty Ann. And see you around. Bye-bye. When I was trying, when I didn't understand and I thought you just followed, made the card whatever size it came in at. So I'm having trouble. Let's see. There's a lot of cute ones in here that I've made. Okay, here's one. And I had this one cut out and I thought it was going to be a good size, but look at the size of this card. This would not be a good card to send out to anybody. I mean, this thing, it's tiny. Let's see if you can see it. There it is. Where'd it go? Oh no, my thing stopped.